Welcome to Power Fridays Live, the channel that aims to make a difference in the world through transformation, spiritual growth, and for entrepreneurs. Our vision is to empower individuals to live their lives with purpose and to make a positive impact on the world. We believe that power and purpose are the driving forces behind success and fulfillment in both personal and professional life. Through our broadcast, we discuss business strategies and techniques that can help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. We believe that through sharing knowledge and experience, we can empower each other to succeed and make a difference in the world. Now here's our host, Janelle Pulley.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Power Fridays Live. And I am so excited to have with me this evening Nakila Irby, a professional speaker, a single mom, a woman who can empower you to the fullest desire that you have. I'm very much a great leader and offers a great conversation in the diversity and inclusion space. Welcome, Nakila. How are you doing this evening?
Hello, I'm doing great. I can't complain. People ask me that normally I'll say, I'm just busy building my legacy. No big deal.
Yes, and that's great because the legacy will be here after we're gone, right? So this is a great legacy conversation. And can you tell us a little bit about where your legacy started?
Well, yeah, I'm from Gary, Indiana. Rest in peace, Michael Jackson, King of Pop. I'm from Gary, Indiana. I was born and raised there. Shout out to everybody that's on 219 area code. But yeah, Gary, Indiana. I lived in Indiana my whole life.
Oh,
Although I did
great.
travel quite a bit.
Exactly. And it's great to have a person who is in all accolades and known throughout the world, like you will be someday, as the Michael Jackson King of Pop, the Jackson Five, and I even have family members from Gary, Indiana as well. So who knows? We could be cousins.
I know. Look at that small world.
Small world. But I am super excited to learn more about you and how we juggle this corporate fence. I know that you are a professional speaker and you have a great conversation that you lead people in businesses, colleges, schools, and universities. So can you tell me a little bit more about your leadership experience?
Yes. Okay. So my leadership experience is actually, I'll just take it all the way back. So, because when I was little, like my cousins, which were my friends, right? Your cousins are your first friends, but they would call me bossy like all the time. And at first I used to cry. I was like, I am not bossy. You know what I mean? I'm not bossy. But then my mom was like, nope, you're not. You're just a leader and you need to be a leader. Don't be a follower. Continue being a leader. And it just kind of like stuck with me. It was like, oh, I'm a leader. Um, I knew when I was young, though, that I wanted to have a different job than what I saw because, if you're from Gary, you know that the job to have in Gary is the steel mill.
Right.
Like the steel mill, that's the place to work if you want to make a lot of money as an adult. Or like my father was an entrepreneur. My mom worked at Lever Brothers, which was another high paying factory. So you either needed to work in like factory or be an entrepreneur if you were wanting to make a lot of money. But I didn't see that for myself. I was like, I want to go to work and look pretty. I don't want to come home and be dirty. I don't want to be tired. I want to go to work. I want to be pretty. And I didn't know what that was, right? Because there was not a lot of corporate jobs around me when I was growing up. And in fact, what like our guidance counselors and the other adults that were around us to shape us, they would ask, like, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a doctor? You want to be a nurse? Like nobody ever really said to me, do you want to be a corporate executive? I didn't even know it existed until I actually started working in corporate America. And then I was looking around the place and I actually kind of got there by accident, just avoiding warehouses.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Yeah, got there and was like, oh, okay, well, this is where I want to be. And then But then even that took a minute to get into leadership, right? Because if you don't have leadership experience, then it's kind of hard. Because most of the time there's like a supervisor posting, and it'll say like they want you to have some supervisor experience, or some experience leading people. So that was a little bit challenging for one to get in it. But once I was able to get in it, and that's a long story, but I'm happy to share it, how I was able to actually get in it. But once I was in it, then I was like, this is my home.
This is it, right? Going from the cubicle to the corner office.
That's right.
So let's hear all about it, Nakila. From the cube to the corner office.
Yes. So when I was trying to build up my reputation to really just prove that I had those leadership skills, that I can do what it takes. One, I did a lot of research. I would reach out to, I was bold too. I would like email CEOs and like vice presidents, and would just ask if they would meet with me and tell me what they did. I was like, how did you get to this position? How did you get here? And most people are very happy to talk about themselves. They spill all the beans. I mean, it was no secret, right? But everybody's path was different. So while some people had a lot easier, just, they got out of college and was straight into leadership, and some people kind of worked their way up. But I was just compiling information. And one thing I knew that I needed was some experience. So what I did is I first started at church. I started a women's leadership group. And the women's leadership group, well, it wasn't a leadership group. It was a women's group that I put together, and I recruited a lot of women in the church to come join me on every Friday night to discuss what was a woman of God, right? So it was looking at like Proverbs, looking at the Proverbs, and just saying, okay, well, this is how women should act. This is how women should behave when you're single, when you're a mom, when you're, married. Like, this is what God wants from us. And what I found during that time, I was like, I can do this, right? Because I was able to influence. I saw that I had some level of influence. And really, like, to be a leader, you really need to be able to influence others. If nobody's following you, then, you're not a leader. You just bossy.
Right. Yes, that's so true. That's so true. All leaders have followers, and of course the master leader is, Jesus, as we know in the Bible, and how he led the disciples in his journey here on earth.
Yep. And so that was my first experience, and I used that, right? But then I knew I really had to still hone my skills because, I was rough around the edges. I really didn't have any training. And so I got into like a company, a Fortune 500 company, and I was a sales agent. And so as a sales agent, I thought, okay, whatever position, whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump all in. I'm gonna do it well, because otherwise, if I'm not gonna do it well, I'm not gonna do it. That's just not in my nature to be like a C student,
Exactly.
So as a sales agent, I jumped in. I did that very well, and then I had like a territory, a couple of territories, like big territories. Actually, I have Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, California, Pennsylvania. And when I went from just selling individually to selling territories and influencing how business owners were shaping their business, I would have those conversations. Well, let me help you to be successful in your business. And that's when I really learned why it was important to be like of service to people. Because again, it's that level of influence, but then you also have to provide some value.
Yes.
so that they can continue following you.
Exactly, and it sounds like you took a lot of massive action in that. And here we have with us tonight the founding partner of Massive Action Mentality, Devon Joseph. He's joining us this evening, Nikila. He may have a couple of questions for you too as well. Welcome to Power Fridays, Devon. How are you this evening?
I'm blessed. Thank you for having me, Nikila. Awesome story. I've been listening in the background. I'm especially excited about sales because a lot of entrepreneurs want to be in business, but the sales end of it, they're very terrified of the sales end of it. So my question to you is, how did you find it when you first? What was your transition? How did you go from entering sales to becoming somebody who was basically covering, all these major areas?
Yeah. So I was okay. So originally I was not over the territories, right? I was just regularly talking to business owners,
Mhm.
but I knew people that were in the sales area.
Right.
So I would just go down there and talk to them. I
Right.
was just making myself visible. I was, making myself visible, talking to them, learning about their jobs. What do you specifically do when you talk to these, business owners? And I was talking to the ones that were successful, but I also spoke to the ones that weren't so successful, because it's important to know what to do,
What
but it's
not
also
to do.
important. Exactly. I don't want to duplicate the stuff that people was doing, and the people that are not very good at their jobs, I hate to say this, but I don't make them my friends,
Mhm.
right? But I surround myself around the people that do well, because I do want to know the people that's not doing well, but they're not going to be my friends.
Right.
Yeah, but the people that were doing very well, I learned what they were doing, and then I would start talking to their boss. So then their boss knew that I kind of knew about the job. I knew what was up.
Mhm.
And then when there was an opening, I went for it. And
Nice.
because I was always hanging out in their area, and I was not just hanging out, like just sitting there with a chair hanging out, but I was sitting down and observing. And this was in addition to my day job. I was just going down there, making myself visible. And then also I was looking at a lot of YouTube videos on how to sell.
Okay.
And then I went from that position into a leadership position, because what I basically said is, I said, listen, for the company, I can continue doing well, of course. Well, first of all, that position was, they like laid off, that position was gone.
Mhm.
So I had to make a decision. Do I leave the company that I'm with, or do I stay and go to another area?
Right.
I stayed with the company because I like it, and I went to another area. But when I went to the other area, I was selling to consumers, and I didn't want to do that forever, because I'm selling to consumers, and I love customers, don't get me wrong, but I'm just helping the company, in my eyes, one customer at a time. Whereas if I'm a leader, then I'm helping all these reps that are
Right.
helping all these customers. So it's like multiplying myself. And I literally said that in my interview, right? I was like,
Mhm.
I'm top one, because I was top one,
Mhm.
right? Not like, oh, I do a good job, I'm in the middle of the pack. Nope. I want to
You're
make it
improving.
very obvious when I go for a role that
Mhm.
I should be the person in that role. I want you to see me in that role like I see me in that role, right?
Right.
So I said, listen, I'm top one, and you can continue getting this level of work from me, because I'm not going to stop. But you can also get this times whatever. You give me a team of 20, you'll get 20 people doing what I do. Because I was so confident in my ability at that point to influence others, that I was like, I can coach them up. Let me get in there and coach them up. And then I did that, and I had a very good team. And then I raised my hand for some hard challenges, and I took on those hard challenges, which really just put me in a position to say that again when I went for
Mhm.
the next role. And I said, listen, you can have me do this with the 20, or you give me a team of supervisors, and each supervisor has teams, and
Yeah.
I'll coach the supervisors up. They'll coach their reps up, and it's like multiplying. You know what I mean? So it was
Right.
like I just, it
That's
just basically was
you just
taking my
reverse
experience. Yeah.
you just reverse engineer a lot of network marketing strategies. That's how they try to get it done. They be telling you, go ahead and get three, and those three will get three. And so, but I see what you're
Yep.
saying. One of the things I love about you is that you take initiative. You went out there and get it. You, even when you was working on the side, you were still hustle. You still had that hustle mentality of let me become better so that I
Yeah.
can get to where I gotta go. Understand? And that extra, this is what a lot of people is missing, or entrepreneurs um, is missing. So that speaks volume in itself of why you've accomplished so much. So congratulations. Is there any?
Thank
So
you.
I know you moved away from dealing with customers a long time ago, but were there any favorite sales strategies that you used, or that you liked when you were dealing with customers? Because everybody, most of our listening entrepreneurs, they have to deal with customers every day. They have to close these sales. So we would love to always, get some strategies that someone may be able to use in their business. So I'm interested to hear what strategy you were using to close these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite is really, and it sounds, I don't know if this sounds
Okay.
cliche or not. It may sound cliche to me because I say it all the
Awesome.
time,
Yeah,
but you have to really do what's in the best interest of your customer.
absolutely.
If you are a salesperson that's chasing the dollar, if you're just chasing money, if you're like, I need to get this sale so that, then it's hard, and the customer is going to smell the desperation all over you, and it won't work as well. It will work sometimes, because sometimes people they're going to buy regardless of who they're talking to, but it won't work as well. What works the best is when you are doing it for the customer. And in order to do that, you have to know what your customer is even looking for. What are they really in the market for? Where is that need? So when I'm talking to customers, I'm asking to find out where the need is. And not just like generically, right? Like, oh, do you want fries with that? But no, it's like, but are you hungry? How hungry are you? Are you a burger hungry? Are you burger and fries hungry? Are you burger and fries and a shake hungry, and a cookie and an apple? Like, how hungry are you? Right? Okay, not only you, but what about your kids? They hungry? Oh, you single? Okay, so what about your your man or whoever? So you have to like ask those questions to really understand what the customer's need is. Once you understand where the customer's need is, then it's really easy for you. It should be easy for any person that's in sales to then offer up the solution that's going to fit the customer's need. And don't just give it to them, right? You got to tell them why. I'm giving you this, I'm offering you this because you said that. Because you told me that you ain't ate all day, and that you love cheese, and you love, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then I'm offering you this. And that's why, based on what you said. And when you can tie it back to what they actually said, you'll hit every time. Every time. Well, most, I
Enough
don't even
times to me, get the job done. And that's huge. A lot of times people, they don't understand the importance of understanding the customer. Like even with my clients, we can, until you understand your customer persona, your avatar, whatever they call it these days, we cannot move forward, right?
yeah,
Because the marketing is tied to it. The marketing, when we do a marketing campaign for a client, it's tied to how the customer speak, how the customer relate to whatever, where the customer is located, where they are, their stages, right? They may be at at a different process, different part of the sales cycle, right? Because you
Yep.
can't just throw up on a customer because they'll always reject it all the time, right?
Yep.
So that's that piece you shared is very important. And I see Miss Pulley Brazil throw his back. So Janelle.
Yes. And then, of course, and when it comes to marketing yourself as you were approaching leadership and you had to
Hmm.
market yourself. So the sales strategy, marketing strategy, it sounds like it all applies.
Yeah. Well, because you know what, when I said when I went to the director at the time and said, you need to make me a supervisor because I can, basically try to coach 20 people up, or not try, because I don't even believe try is a word, but I'm going to coach up 20 people to do what I'm doing.
Yes.
It was because there was a need, right? I'm in a sales organization. We always want to produce more. So when I'm going in there and I'm saying this, why would anybody say no to that? If your job as a director is to produce more sales and you got somebody in your face that's number one in sales telling you that they are wanting to produce like 20 more of you so they can have one or they can have 20. It was like I made it a layup.
No brainer, they call it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And so I know and you approached the manager, right? And they were agreeable, it sounds like. Have you ever had an opportunity that crossed you to where someone was not agreeable in the leadership position before you became in a leadership position that you had a challenge with? And how would you help others with that?
Yes. So before I actually honed my skills in, right? So the first time I applied for a supervisor position, I didn't get it. I didn't get it the second time. I didn't get it the third time I applied for a supervisor. I think I got it on my fourth try, though, right? The first time I went out for a supervisor position, I was like, oh, I know the job and I can do the job well. And it was all about me. I was like, I know how to do this job. And, y'all just need to let me be a supervisor. So, of course, they don't work. They don't work. Going back to just what we was talking about with sales agents, you can't sell anything if it's all about you. And that's how I went into my first interview. I was like, do y'all, you don't know I'm great? And they was like, okay, but what if somebody that you're trying to coach somebody is not great? Then what? What if you're trying to coach them and they don't do it? Then what? Well, because I had never even been in trouble at work before, I didn't know what happened when people didn't do a good job at work. I didn't know nothing about the write-up process. So I know nothing about the disciplinary action process or anything. So I was just in an interview like, what? You telling me that people not going to do their job?
That's self-awareness,
Did y'all
right?
did y'all have unions?
No,
Oh man, you don't even want to
no.
know about the process when unions are involved.
Yes.
I don't think I'm a fan of unions. And I don't know who out here watching that's a part of the union, but I don't like it because it's like giving out participation trophies. And
It definitely makes the job harder. I'll say that. I mean, everything has its purpose, but when you're on the I guess the employee side is great. Ooh, union fighting for. But when you're on the management side, it can be definitely because then you start to realize how entitled lazy people are. you
it
know.
wouldn't be great for me even as an employee. Now, I worked for the fire department for a couple of years, and
Mhm,
that was union, and it was
mhm,
not great for me as an employee. I wasn't in leadership yet, but the reason why I wasn't great is because I always show up and do my job,
mhm,
and I'm looking at somebody sitting on the side of me being lazy, not
mhm.
wanting to do their job, and I'm knowing that we're making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
That didn't sit well with me, and I can't stay in those types of environments.
Yeah, I think it always the goods would be most likely when they fighting to get your raise because a lot of times companies gonna continue to pay you as little as they can for as much work as you're willing to put out. So the unions do try to get your raise when there is a quality of life increase They want to make sure the wage is good and all that stuff. But I understand that point. Trust me, I was thinking about that today. A long time story of a young lady that worked with us, and we worked hard, and she just felt like she shouldn't have to do any work because I don't know. I guess she was cute or whatever the reason she had. But
She's cute. She want to work.
that's
Yeah.
how they be. They
Well,
be acting like I'm too cute to work.
I'm with Lakila on that. I show up whenever I work for someone, and I show up. And just like when you work for yourself, you have to show up and you have to
Right.
put the work in. And the work ethic that you have, Nikila, is just like similar to Devon and myself in a sense that you show up. And then you showed up, and as you continue to grow in your growth and development, you learned something along the way. And now you're sharing that with others and with your speaking company. Can you share a little bit about why you chose to say, hey, I need to spread a message?
Yep. And I guess it's really still along similar lines, because you know how I said, well, let me multiply myself by being a supervisor. Let me multiply myself by being a manager and then managing supervisors. You know what I mean? So now that I'm speaking, I'm really just taking the show on the road. That's all I'm doing really, because after you remember, well, everybody remembers when George Floyd was murdered, I'm sure. But
Right.
when he was murdered, after that, there was a lot of information that was made available. I learned then that like Black females only make up 2% of executives in corporate America. At the time, we'd only had one Black female CEO, Ursula Burns from the Xerox company, and now we've had like there's two more, so now we have three.
Yes.
But at the time, I started to lose the wind in my sail because I was like, man, I have aspirations of being a C-suite level executive, and it seems impossible, right? With those little numbers. If you look at all of corporate America, you telling me less than 2% are Black females. And I started to lose the wind in my sail. But I went to, there was a call center convention in Las Vegas that I went to. And I was out there, and Tyra Banks was on the stage. And she had it was like a panel. She was getting interviewed, and she also spoke. And she was telling her story on when she started to gain weight as a model. And her agent had called her mom and was like, hey, can you talk to your daughter? Because we keep telling her to lose weight and her butt keep getting bigger. Now she done lost contracts with, these fashion designers, these top fashion designers. She gonna keep losing them if she don't lose weight. So her mom had went back to the hotel because they were in like Italy, I think at the time. So her mom went and picked her up and was like, listen, I just met with your agent, and your agent told me that you have gained too much weight. So Tyra said she had jumped up. She was like, oh man, let me start doing some jumping jacks. Mama, lose some weight. Her mom was like, no, let's go out for some pizza. So they went out for pizza. So Tyra thinking that time, like, is this a trick? Why my mama giving me pizza when my agent saying I'm gaining too much weight? She gave a slice pizza. She was like, go ahead and eat that pizza, because Tyra, she loves pizza. So she was like, go ahead and eat that pizza. So Tyra's eating it. Her mom said, listen, she didn't like the look on Tyra's face when Tyra was like, I need to lose all this weight. And she just felt like now her daughter got transformed to be somebody else that she's not. She said, no, you're a person that like pizza. Eat your pizza. She said, this is what we gonna do. Instead of you sitting here begging to have people see your worth and see your value, and you're having to change your body and all of that, you need to be yourself, and you're gonna write a list of companies that you want to do business with. You control your own life. You're in control. So she said, now what companies do you want to do business with? And at first Tyra was just thinking about the fashion designer. So she was, Tommy Hilfiger, her mom was like, think bigger. Think bigger. So she's like, okay, well, maybe Victoria's Secrets, Disney, CBS, she's just like naming companies. And and movie. I want to do movies. And her mom was like, okay, eat another slice and name some more. So she wrote down some more and she eating more pizza. And she on the road. She just writing this list. She showed this list. And of course, Tyra ended up doing business with all of these companies that was on her list. You know, she was the first Black female on the cover of Time, what was it, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. And I mean, that speech was so motivating to me. When I left out of there, I was like, I don't have to wait on anybody else to tell me that I can do it. And I don't have to transform myself, right? Because I was thinking like, oh, it's impossible. In order for me to make it to that level, I got to straighten my hair. I got to, put on little small dainty earrings. I got to, I'm thinking I got to learn how to play golf. I don't want to play golf.
Yes.
So, but Tyra had really motivated me to say, you know what? I'm in control of my own life. And if I'm going to be making it to the C-suite level, then that's what I'm going to do with my earrings. You know what I mean? With my braids, with my red lip as a Black woman to the C-suite level. And so I thought, there's the same way that Tyra was representation for me that day. I want to be representation for other women that are out there that might be feeling like it's impossible for me to continue going up the corporate ladder because it's all men. It's all, no, women can do it, and Black women can do it. And I want to be that representation. And that's really why I'm here.
So, knowing your mentality, I have a question to ask you. Are you, well, everybody in the Black community probably familiar with the whole Monique and what's the other young lady name, and them talking about them not getting the, Black women not getting the work they deserve in Hollywood. What is your
Taraji.
perspective? Yeah, Taraji. What is your Ooh, you actually look a little like her too.
Don't tell me that now. She's beautiful.
Yes, very beautiful woman. What is your perspective on the whole not being able to get the work in Hollywood?
That's a challenge, right? But just like, I mean, Oprah's doing it, right? And so it's like Taraji can do it as well. I sympathize for her because, of course, along the way, her journey, she has to go through these waters. And I'm not even going to front. It's not been easy for me either, right? That's why I wrote a workbook on uncovering and addressing microaggressions, because it's not easy. And I don't, it's probably not going to be easy for Taraji, but if she continues to go and she wants more money and she wants to continue doing big things, then she'll do it.
And the reason I asked the question, because I kind of had a stance, and I think the stance I had was from, I think one of my mentors. He said never work for money. He said work for experience, and then take what you learn and go and make money off of what you learn. And
Mm-hmm.
and my stance on the whole thing, and trust me, I hear them. I hear them loud and clear, right? But I'm an entrepreneur, so my stance on the whole thing was, if they don't want to give you what you deserve, right? Just like Tyra left these guys and she went and built her own empire. Go out there and build your own empire. All that money you've been banking, go out there and start your own movie production company. Do
Yeah.
what you gotta do to get your own money, because that's the one beautiful thing about America, is just being able to just start entrepreneurship at will. There's a lot of countries you can't just go and open a business. You understand? So I'm always like, listen, you have the knowledge. You've been working in that industry for a long time. Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you take that knowledge and go do something with it? Stop looking for people to give you approval to say what you're worth, But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And speaking of worth, Nikila, we have you wanting to increase your influence on TikTok. So I've added your TikTok there, and there are many other ways. You mentioned the free article. Is that an article that you'll be providing free to anyone who requests it regarding microaggression?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for sharing my TikTok because I do want to get my followers up. I need at least 1,000 to go live. I'm halfway there. So y'all out there, go to TikTok right now. Find me at naturally.nakila and follow me so then I can continue to go live and I can bring more content out just, on more social media platforms. What I did was I created a workbook, and so this workbook on uncovering and addressing microaggressions came from personal experience and research, and it is a way for you because microaggressions are not easy to spot, right? You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel like, was that was that a dig at my gender? Was that a dig at my race? Like, was that a dig at my, you can't really tell right off
Mhm.
the back. So it's not always easy, but you just might feel so uncomfortable that you want to leave the company or just avoid certain people because they make you feel uncomfortable. So this workbook is really talking about, it helps you to identify, are these microaggressions? What are microaggressions? And not only that, but then what? Because then once you know that there's microaggressions happening around you, then what? That's not good enough for you just to know. You need to be able to act on it. So the workbook also it walks you through being able to address it, and not in a way that's confrontational, because that does not work. You don't need to go to work and be like, you gonna respect me and you gonna put some respect on my name. No, that's not how you do it. That's not how you get to where you want, right? That's you won't get your goal. So it walks you through how to also address it with the other person in an amicable way, so then you guys can continue to work together moving forward.
Very great. Well, I know there's a lot of people who would love to have a copy of that workbook, who would love to work with you directly to help them, coach them to know this is how what we say, this is how we say it, and this is how I got to the next level in my career, and this is how I can share and help someone, pull someone up as well. Empowering women, that's what we're here today for. It's Women's History Month here in the
Yeah.
month of March. So I thank you so much for your time, because I know your time is most valuable asset, Nikila. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. You shed a lot of light on your life, your upbringing. You are a born leader. Okay. And so I'm definitely, one to follow you. So please do follow, subscribe. Nikila could be also sharing this in her YouTube channel, and your email address is there posted. And please do share about what's coming up for you.
Yes, my thank you. My next speaking event is on April 18th. It's an event called Disrupt HRND. I'm all about disrupt and delight. I like to disrupt and delight. So tickets can be purchased on Eventbrite. The event will be held in Indianapolis, Indiana on April 18th.
Okay, great. So we can get a copy of your workbook on a microaggression, and we can see you live in the Indianapolis at Disrupt HR Indy coming up in April. So thank you so much. And for that, I'm going to make sure that we have how to reach you via email. And you are also available on LinkedIn and accepting followers and adding friends.
That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, thank you, Nikila. This has been a great, empowering conversation, and I thank you for your time. And as we all say here on Power Fridays Live, please subscribe, tell a friend, share the link with a friend. Be, do, and have the greatness that you desire, because the greatness is in you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nikila, and everyone out there in social media land. Have a great weekend and a good evening. And we see us next week on another episode of Power Fridays Live. Take care.
Thank you.